So let's go to the playoffs, why don't we? Where it was the most exciting round of playoffs we have ever seen. And we're going to start in League One, as we normally do, where we have One Knox taking on FC Naples. And this doesn't seem like too much of a shock. In fact, I think this is the only chalk matchup throughout the entire playoffs in both the championship and League One. So this should be quite interesting as Knoxville took down Charlotte 1-0, but Charlotte or 2-1, but Charlotte, Christian Chaney, because it's always Christian Chaney, made it interesting at the very end. And then we have FC Naples, who makes it through on penalties against Union Omaha. Their magical run comes to an end. And these two teams are facing off against one another, where Knoxville narrowly won the season series 1-0 with basically one draw, one win. That one win was 1-0. So this is just an absolutely fascinating matchup.
Yeah, this is going to be a defensive battle. The wild card here is Lalo Delgado. He went down apparently injured late in extra time against in the first round against Omaha. Joel Serrano came in. Joel Serrano is the Puerto Rican national goalkeeper, national team goalkeeper. He's known for stopping penalties, apparently. He came in cold and stopped two. And to win that game, that was just, you just can't write those stories like that. That's just that's playoffs for you. So that's going to be the wild card is the goalkeeping situation for Naples. But this is going to be a knockdown, drag out defensive battle. I think 1-0, 0-0, go to penalties again, something like that. But Knoxville, I don't think they had too much trouble with Charlotte. I don't think it was ever really in doubt watching that one. So this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, excited for the matchup because these teams are a little bit similar in the way that they're so solid defensively. They've got that spark on the counterattack. It's going to be kind of silly to say, but if you can keep a lid on Carson Henderlong, you're going to be in good shape if you're Knoxville. I just trust that if they limit him, they have enough weapons, whether it's Deanne or a Tequila. Stuart Ritchie on the overlap is unbelievable. One of the best players in the league for my money. Even Zaracostas was huge in that Charlotte game. So this is a Knoxville attack that's hitting form at the right time. It'll be difficult to break down Naples. I think it matters a lot if it's Serrano in goal, just in terms of the communication and the chemistry. So I lean that way for One Knox, but going to be maybe the most fascinating game as we enter this round.
I think the thing that leans this just Knoxville's way is, to your point, John, like the amount of weapons that Knoxville have. They just have a lot of different ways that they can hurt teams, whereas I do think Naples are a little bit more of a blunt instrument in terms of if Carson Henderlong is holding up play and is firing, finding a way to get shots off in the box, and maybe getting some set piece opportunities. I think that they obviously have a chance. And I was impressed with the amount of chances that they were able to create against Omaha, particularly second half. It was one of those things where watching the first half, I'm thinking oh man, this might get ugly. The way Omaha kind of came out of the gates, and then Naples really controlled the second half. I thought that was impressive. So they have every chance in the world of getting a result here. And I think I just give Knoxville the edge because of that quality up top that can hurt you at literally any moment.
Yeah,
if you're someone who's sorry, go ahead, Alex.
These center back pairings here, this is probably the number one and number two pairings right now in the league with Skelton and Hogley and Dengler and Evans. That's ridiculous. Spokane might is up there as well, but going those four going head to head on the opposite ends, it's going to be tough to break through those defenses.
Yeah, and that was one thing I was going to mention on the Naples side. When you look at the spine, when we looked at Naples preseason, that was one thing we noted. We were like, okay, we got Heckenberg, who's going to be in your midfield, which if you're someone who's looking at the YouTube graphic. I forgot to write Heckenberg. He's where the DM is. I just forgot to write his name. You have Dangler, you have Evans, you have Delgado, you have Lalo, assuming he's healthy. We're like, that is an insane spine to have in your team. But you're also looking at an Ugly, you're looking at a Skelton, you're looking at a Lewis, you're looking at a Johnson, you're looking at a Caputo. And this is just going to be a knockout, drag-out fight. And I think it really does show the trend of USL League One, where a couple of years ago it was kind of run and gun. We're going to just run up the scores. Defense was kind of an option. And really, 3 of the 4 teams are just defensive powerhouses. And Portland is no slouch himself. Like, it is really interesting the swings that have gone through with League One. And I'm going to be really interested to see if these 2 teams, specifically One Knox and Naples, decide to kind of sit in the first half, fill each other out, and then the second half is just absolutely blow for blow, just trying to break the other one down.
I mean, I think the thing we've seen across the board in the USL this year is nobody's going blow for blow. It's been so defensive. I mean, the stat everyone's throwing around, there were 6 goals scored in 8 games in the championship in round 1. And League One was better, but not by much. So this feels like a game that could reach added time, extra time, another shootout, frankly. But yeah, still leaning One Knox because of the flexibility. And I didn't want to shout out Nico Rosamilia, who you've got slotted in on the left wing. Rookie player this year, wasn't in the starting lineup for a large portion of the summer and the fall. It's the way he and Richie operate up that left side where Rosamilia plays quite narrow and is able to kind of influence the game, win second balls, do some of that dirty work. Really key to the mix that Knoxville has. And it's going to be a tough matchup that demands a lot of Naples. So watching that one in particular.
And with Nico Rosamilia, let's point out, he is Mark Doyle's like backup. Like, he's not even supposed to that's Mark Doyle's spot. Right. And he's stepped in and done an outstanding job.
So we've already kind of heard some answers, but we're going to go down the line. John, who you got?
Yeah, One Knox.
Alex?
Knoxville.
Phil?
Well, basically confirming that they're definitely going to lose. One Knox.
I've been sitting towards FC Naples all day long, but I cannot get over the fact that One Knox has never lost at home. So I'm going to go with Naples still. I feel like defensively they are so solid, and Inderlong is a special talent up top, and Onan and Cerro are no slouch themselves over on the wings. I feel like they have the talent, and all they need is one moment, because I don't know if Knoxville can get 2 goals in this match, and that's not because of Knoxville. I think that's because of Naples. So I'm going to go with Naples having a moment of magic and shutting up shop. Let's go ahead and go on to our next match. We got Spokane taking on Portland, possibly the longest away day in U.S. soccer, where head-to-head, it was a close one in the first game. It was 0-0, and then game 2, Portland Hearts of Pine put the hurting on them. We went live right afterwards, where they win 6-1. They were both coming out in a 4-2-3-1, but this defense for Spokane is the story, but don't sleep on that attack, because Siobhan John Brown, Louise Hill, Reedy, and Nico Brett all up top for you. It's not bad. But Titus Washington and Ollie Wright just seem to be it. And who is that? Is that the cardio man himself running that midfield? By God, it is. Keegan is still doing the dang thing.
Yeah. Go ahead with that.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say that, I think that Spokane would love to say that 6-1 loss, that's a mulligan, because it was like in the middle of that absolutely brutal road trip. Midweek, I think they had already been in Naples. They went to Portland, and then they were going to Omaha next. Obviously, they'd like to forget that one. And I think it's a reasonable thing to say that, maybe we can set that aside and look at this one with a fresh lens, since Spokane's going to be at home. They're rested. That being said, I was not very impressed with Spokane's play against Tormenta. I think that they got lucky to survive that one. They were getting eaten up in the midfield so many times. Did not have very many quality shots. If that's the energy that they're going to bring against Portland, it's not happening. So as long as they've used this week to get their stuff back together, I think they have a good chance. But as we know, Portland is more than capable of running up the score on Spokane in different circumstances. Now we can talk about Hunter Morse here as Portland's just wild card. They rely on him a lot. Their defense lets a lot of shots go through. He saved 9 against Chattanooga the other day. Enough for the Portland fans to say they want to build a statue for him outside of Fitzpatrick, which I don't blame them for that. But yeah, this is going to be another good one. Give Spokane maybe a slight home advantage, but not by much at all.
Yeah, I think Spokane went into that last game against Tormenta with defensive, low block defending and counterattacking on their mind, and they probably took it too far. Like there were stretches of that game where Tormenta was just taking the fight to them in a way that we haven't really seen for most of this season. Spokane's going to come out looking more positive against Hearts of Pine.
Yeah, and Sean makes a great point. Wada was on a red card last week. He'll probably be in that spot with
and that was the interesting thing with that matchup for Portland was Keegan brought a level of physicality that you need against the Chattanooga Red Wolves. He was perfect for that matchup as the number 10. Wada is what you want against the Spokane Velocity, where the game is going to be a little bit more open. He can find those touches in pockets of space. Then the defense pays attention. Ollie Wright gets open. Titus Washington runs behind. You can see the dominoes falling for Hearts of Pine. I think Spokane is going to miss Colin Fernandez a lot in this game. He's been out for about a month at this point. But what he gives them in the spot that Bryce Meredith has taken over is more comfort in possession. That's crucial against the Portland press. He's awesome as a ball stopper against the counterattack. They're going to need a huge performance from Meredith next to Andre Lewis if they want to survive this one.
And I think Portland obviously relied on Morse a lot, as you said, Alex. And I think they, for better or worse, they had to weather a lot of storms. And I do think there's an element of getting a win in really tough conditions, albeit a lot shorter road trip, and they didn't have to contend with all the travel. Portland winning ugly was a little bit did maybe give me a little bit more hope that, hey, there is something here to be able to get a result in Spokane. I share your lack of sort of I just was not blown away by anything Spokane did. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how this one lines up. But I do think that this Portland team, the way that they are right now, they're just stubborn and they've got that quality to be able to create those moments of magic. The Ollie Wright goal, it is the sort of thing that these sort of playoff runs are made of. So I don't know. It will be a very interesting matchup, and I'm hoping for maybe a little bit more excitement that we saw in round one.
Yeah, and so one interesting about the Tormenta match, though, is even though Spokane was constantly getting eaten up in the midfield, the defense still only allowed 1 shot on target in the first 90. So it's this one could be a coin flip for me.
That's kind of where I am too. While Spokane has not impressed me, did not impress me versus Tormenta, there's a part of me that also just feels like Tormenta kind of had the sauce coming into the playoffs, and there's a little bit of that as well. But so does Portland. And Phil, I think you said it well. They won dirty versus Chattanooga. Portland is not. I'm not saying that they have not shown they could be a physical team, but they kind of out physical Chattanooga, which we hadn't really seen a team do. And while that isn't what you necessarily want to do versus a Spokane, if you want to beat them, it is a way that is the way to beat them if you already have the lead. If you have a moment of brilliance from Titus Washington, from Ollie Wright, from Awada at the 10, if you have one of those moments, playing dirty, playing gritty, playing strong like that is a way to win out during the 90, getting that 1-0 win. It's certainly possible. You see the lane for Portland to win here. The biggest thing that I'm having to contend with is the travel. Can they withstand the travel? This one's not easy. Not only are they having to deal with flights, they're having to deal with like time change. They are going to be 3 hours behind. They, depending on what time this game is, they're going to be kicking off at what may feel like 10, 11 o'clock at night for them. That's no small feat. That's just a lot to contend with. John, who do you have?
Spokane.
Alex?
Yeah, I think I've talked myself into Spokane. Home pitch, travel, the just slightly better defense. It's not with a high degree of confidence, but I'm going to say Spokane.
Phil?
I'm going to say Portland only because I truly think that the penalty Spokane got is like bad karma because they probably should be out. All things considered, because I don't think that was a penalty. So, yeah, I'll go Portland.
I think it's a true coin flip. I think it's going to come down to penalties. Spokane. I don't feel good about it in the slightest.